The purpose of this video is to cover the exporting and importing birds processes on mobile devices. And for this demo, I'll be using an iPhone 7. So this process might differ slightly depending on the type of device, mobile device you're using. So what you see on the screen here is the My Birds tab from the dashboard, and I currently have 36 birds imported into my database. What I'm going to do is show you a couple of ways of selecting birds for export. The first way is you can selectively choose the birds that you want to export by checking the checkbox in the far left-hand column for any birds that you wish to export. Or you can select the All option in the table header, which selects all of the birds in your entire database. And if you want to omit certain birds or exclude certain birds from the export, you would just deselect those birds by unchecking those checkboxes. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and check all of the birds. And I'm going to go to Options, and I'm going to select Export Birds plus Ancestors for Import. Once that's complete, you'll have a download file here which says mybirdexport.zip. This is a compressed zip file, and that's because Apple mobile devices don't allow direct download of .csv files. And from here, we can click on the mybirdexport.zip file, and we can either save it to our iPhone, or we can actually send this file to another Loft Manager Online member, perhaps someone that you've traded or sold birds to if you're exchanging data. And you would do that very easily by clicking on More and then selecting the email option, and it would actually email the export as an attachment to the email. You just simply type in the person's email address and send it that way. But what I'm going to do for the purposes of this demonstration is I'm just going to go ahead and save this zip file to my iCloud drive, to my desktop. Okay. And keep in mind that this file is a zip file. It's not a CSV file. So what that means is that you can't import a zip file directly into the database. It has to be uncompressed or extracted, if you will, and you have to pull the CSV file out of the zip. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's very easy to do. Click on the Preview Content. Click on the Download option at the top right-hand corner. Save to Files, and then click on Add. You'll notice here at the very top of my screen it says mybirdexport.csv. I'm going to add that to my desktop. And I'm going to go back to the Main tab, click on Import Pedigree, Browse, and here is my MyBirds export. You'll notice I have two of them here. One of them is a zip, and one of them is a CSV. I'm going to select the CSV. And the alert says 36 of 36 birds was successfully imported, and the birds that were successfully imported are listed here all the way down. If there were any issues or if any birds failed to import, likely due to the bird already existing in the database, those type of issues would be appended to the bottom of this list. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to go back to the My Birds tab now. And what I want to point out here is that if you click on Options, it says Export Birds and Ancestors for Import. So the important thing to take away from this is that when you select these birds for export, you're not just selecting that individual bird, you're actually selecting the entire ancestry tree for that bird. So just scrolling through here and finding a bird that has a small ancestry tree for demonstration purposes, let me select this one here. And this bird right here only has a sire and a dam. So I'm going to go ahead and use this bird here as an example, because if I export this bird, it's only going to contain 3 records. It's going to be the primary bird, the sire, and the dam. So let's go back to the My Birds tab, and I'll go ahead and select that bird for export. Go to Options. I'll export it, and I'll go ahead and download this. I'll save that to my desktop, preview the content, save it to my files, place it. All right, let's go back into Loft Manager Online. And what I'll do now is, just for demonstration purposes, I'll go back to the main tab and make an attempt to upload those 3 birds. And as you can see, 0 of 3 birds were imported. 3 birds were already in database. So the system will prohibit birds having with duplicate band numbers. So that holds true when trying to add a bird as well. So I just wanted to point that out. And going back to the My Birds tab, I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these birds from the database. And we'll try to upload those 3 birds again. Let's go back to the main tab, click on Import Pedigree. And as you can see, the 3 birds were successfully imported this time around because the birds weren't already in the database. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out and go back to the My Birds tab. And the last thing that I'd like to point out to you is that you can also export birds from the Progeny tab. It works the same way as the My Birds tab. You essentially can select the all option or selectively choose which birds you wish to export, and then you just click on Options and click on Export Birds plus Ancestors for import, and you can export those birds in the same way. That concludes this video. I hope you got something out of it, and please feel free to check out some of our other videos on Loft Manager Online. Thanks.